The ladies are live with an entire show of hot topics. Attacking an icon. How Trump's Twitter war with civil rights giant John Lewis is still sparking outrage on both sides of the aisle. Plus, showbiz bullies? The A-list actress who claims that Hollywood hotheads helped put Trump in the White House. And one of this weekend's hottest topics is a View exclusive. Jennifer Holliday said no way to the inauguration, but she's live on The View to reveal why she dropped out. Then she's performing on our stage. The View starts right now with Whoopi, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
Wait, before we do anything, I have to, people get nervous about my shirts, apparently, now every day. It's a quote from Frank Zappa. Will you read it for me, please?
A mind is like a...
parachute.
A parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open.
Nice.
Frank Zappa, brilliant. I like that. He was good, yeah.
Speaking of which, Donald Trump is facing a bipartisan backlash for attacking civil rights icon and Georgia Congressman John Lewis after he questioned Trump's legitimacy as president. Now, Trump claimed Lewis's district is in horrible shape, and crime-infested, and that he's all talk, and no action. First of all, somebody give Donald Trump a history book. Okay, let's start with that. Because for years, Donald talked about how Obama should not have been president because he wasn't an American citizen.
Right.
Now, that's fake news, but he ran with it and ran with it. So if John Lewis feels that he's not the legitimate president because of all of the Russian murkiness that we're seeing, doesn't he have as much right to say that as Trump had to say that Obama wasn't legitimate president?
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
I also don't think it's a coincidence that John Lewis said this on Saturday. And I think what better way to get Trump to respond than to insult him? And on the weekend of Martin Luther King, with John Lewis being a revered civil rights activist and all that he did for the movement, I think this was a tee it up and he'll swing at it. And this is what I've said about the danger of the Twitter and the impulse control. You say one thing, and he will lash out. And that's exactly what happened. And this will be very dangerous when we start playing internationally.
Exactly. I mean, that's what worries me. And what also worries me, to your point, Whoopi, that you always make about history. Donald Trump tweets about John Lewis and says that he is all talk and no action. And you're talking about someone whose skull was fractured on the bridge during the march on Selma.
Right.
You're also talking about...
You know, Donald Trump likes activists whose skulls were not cracked.
Yeah, must be, you know. and I think it was just sort of the height of hypocrisy because Donald Trump is someone that had, I think, 5 deferments.
Yes.
Because of alleged bone spurs. So he's sort of...
Hemorrhoids, I think, wasn't it?
Well, you know, he's a draft dodger. And I just think it's, to your point, Sarah, it's very scary that someone who is so easily wounded and whose reaction, which is what he told Megyn Kelly, is to wound, he's going to have...
Well, at least do your homework, man. Come back when, you can't do it for 8 years and then be pissed off that someone does the same thing to you, comrade. You can't do it.
I think he has to learn to be comfortable with... There's going to be some people that don't like him, and there's going to be some people that disagree with him. I mean,
that don't like him.
You see people get up like that.
But if But
Wait,
if you
just
do anything,
FYI, just said your points, he has only a 40% favorability, and as he would say, sad.
But if you
sad.
and if you do anything policy-wise that's going to shake things up, I mean, let's face it, if you repeal Obamacare, if you do anything major, there's going to be a segment of the population that supports what you do, and then there's going to be a segment that rallies against you. That's why you have two political parties. It seems that he expects everybody to just fall in line, and that's just not what this country was built on. I understand what he's saying about...
If he were king, it would work.
Right. Well, he's not. This is not a monarchy. And I understand that when you say that someone isn't legitimate, I understand that people jump and say, well, we don't know. We don't know exactly what role Russia played. He may have won anyway. I get it. I understand that that term is very heated. But what's the problem with, if that's somebody's point of view, let them have it. It's okay.
But he wants to be
really
loved.
okay.
And he's still tweeting this
He
morning,
wants everybody
people.
to love him.
This morning was the most recent tweet
What did he
about
tweet
John
this
Lewis.
morning?
He said, John Lewis said about my inauguration, it will be the first one that I've missed. Wrong or lie. He boycotted Bush 43 also because he... Second tweet. Thought it would be hypocritical to attend Bush's swearing in. He doesn't believe Bush is the true elected president. Sound familiar?
Well, it's understandable
okay.
because, you know, there were some questions there, too. We had suddenly the Supreme Court was involved. Listen, you're allowed to have... That's what America's built on, man. And if you're going to be the president, you better get yourself right, because... people are going to be coming at you because there are questions about your presidency. People do have questions. Same kind of BS questions you might have had, you know, had you been thinking. Had you thought about this, but you didn't think about this, you know, and he's also cast this wide net this weekend, picking fights with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, NATO, CIA Director John Brennan, and Alec Baldwin.
Right.
You know, you got too much time on your hands, man. You better be trying to figure out what to do.
But you notice that he's got a lot of time. You notice that he picks on Angela Merkel, Meryl Streep, SNL. He never picks on the KKK or Putin. Yeah. Those two are his. Oh, they're fine.
But they said nice things about him, Joy.
That's right. That's exactly the point.
But even if you had
People
a problem,
need to notice things like that.
if you had, let's say he did have a problem with Merkel's policy. He's talking about refugees and the fact that, you know, Germany takes. Let's say, well, you know what? He's going to be
his business.
He's going to be the future commander-in-chief of the United States.
He should have that conversation with her first,
That's my point.
Not in Twitter.
Hold it back.
Yeah.
Don't give it away. There's a time and a place for him. Yes, you're about to get a very prestigious position, and you can weigh in on these things, but weigh in on them in an appropriate venue.
Yeah.
Diplomacy.
You don't exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
he's not
Because if
diplomatic.
you weigh in on NATO and you expose that to everybody, now you have NATO allies worried. This stuff is very dangerous if you do it this way.
Yes, but you see, this is part of the problem when you have someone who is out of control. You know, I'm sorry that, you know, he's keeping his Twitter stuff because he says he has more followers. He's going to keep his account, not use the POTUS account. Yeah, okay, so, you know, but I thought you weren't supposed to keep personal accounts. See, I don't get it.
Well,
I don't understand. You know?
The thing that's scary is he keeps focusing on the numbers he has in the followers, but the problem is that platform, everyone's listening, and you can't bring it back. You can't dial it back. And was it Spider-Man or someone that said, with great power comes great responsibility?
Spider-Man said that?
Yes.
I got it. That was right, Joy. But this is what keeps coming to mind when I think about the platform he has. The more he keeps speaking and focusing so much on the number, he's thinking quantity, not quality.
The problem is, though, that one of the reasons he won, I think, was that there's a group of people that likes that he's a rule breaker, and they see that as a rebel, and he's going to, you know, say what he feels, and he's not politically correct. And yes, I agree that there's too much political correctness out there, but you also have to be careful when you're the commander-in-chief or soon to be. You do hold a lot of power, and you can upset that balance throughout the world. So it's one thing to not be politically correct, and it's another thing you got to be smart.
Yeah, I want to talk about that when we come back.
Okay, so hold on. Let me go to break. I know. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Still ahead, a View exclusive. Tony and Grammy-winning superstar Jennifer Holliday reveals why she canceled her performance at Trump's inauguration. Then she's taking the stage right here.
So, when last we met, a conversation was about to happen about what does PC mean. Let's rejoin the ladies at the table.
Yeah, what do you mean by PC?
I want to know what it means, because whenever I hear people say, you know, I'm tired of, I don't have to be politically correct anymore because Donald Trump is going to be the president, I feel like people are then hiding behind that and saying, now I can say all the racist, nasty things that you're not supposed to say, and now I have a license to say them.
A lot of times it refers to national security, and people feel there's a reluctance to call terrorism, to say that it's Islamic extremism, that there's been a hesitance to, when you see a lot of reports in the news, something happens, there's a lot of reports in the news that come out that point to terrorism, that there's been a hesitance on the part of the Obama administration, this is the opinion of many, to say that, to call it what it is. So that's where it goes.
Is that possibly because we don't want to jump to conclusions? Is it because I kind of feel like the last time we did that, we started a war and there were no weapons of mass destruction that we could find. So I wonder if people are reluctant to say, let us make sure we know what we're saying.
Well, they don't want to. Obama didn't want to conflate the religion of Islam with the terrorists, and so he was careful what he said.
That's true.
So as not to aggravate people for no reason.
That's true.
This guy aggravates people for any reason.
Well, that's true. But when you find out that something is linked to Islamic extremism, I think I've noticed in several speeches over the last 4 years that there's been a hesitance to say it. That's where it comes from. I think that what those people think. Now, that's not to say
I don't think that's what Trump means.
The point you're making about some people potentially using that as an excuse to say horrific things.
Absolutely.
Sure, that happens, but I think there are a lot of good people out there that say, you know what, let's just call something what it is. Let's not walk on eggshells.
Well,
and they feel a lot of politicians walk on eggshells and don't tell the truth.
You're being very specific, and I love that about you, and I appreciate that about you, because you're not just throwing words out. But when Donald Trump starts talking about being politically correct and not wanting to be politically correct, he's not talking just about national security, Jeff.
Well, he's
talking
breed.
about
but also, I also think that
grab him by the you-know-what. That's what he means.
Well, and that's
what he's talking about.
And I think every president should do that. I think every president should not just spout off and say, that's what it looks like to me. I think they should wait and say, you know, it is terrorism. You know, we don't know who's involved yet. You don't know until you catch the people. You don't know. So I think it's much better. And you know, as far as being PC, you know, listen, PC only means something if it's not you they're talking about. You know, so I think people who practice Islam don't want to be referred to that way, because that's what people say. You can't put Islam out there without attaching terrorism to it. So maybe that's why he doesn't, or he didn't, leap to do that. But, you know, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. But you know what? Many performers have refused to play at the Trump inaugural event. And one of the biggest names who dropped out recently was Tony and Grammy Award winner Jennifer Holliday, who's going to be talking to us in a bit. And so some people feel like they shouldn't be taking a stand, and people feel they should, if they're asked, they should go. And
well, you know, even the E Street Band's cover band, which is called the B Street Band, has pulled out. So even a fake band doesn't want to play. It's like it's not Springsteen.
I will tell you.
And wait, there was a picture on Facebook today of a karaoke machine that said, I'm not playing there either. I mean, no one wants to go.
But, you know, we were talking about this with the audience after the break, and Joy knows I've really struggled with this issue.
Which one?
Going to the inauguration, being very supportive of this president, because I do think as a country we need to start coming together. And that's the thing. I've spoken to you, I've spoken to some of my dear friends who are not going to the inauguration, who live in D.C., who work for the Justice Department and are taking, like, refuge in my house in New York. And I realize now, they're coming here. And
so you just told everybody where they are.
Yeah, but what I realize...
Get to your point so you can hide them again.
I know. What I realize now is that Donald Trump is someone who... I'm a very traditional person, as many of you know, and he's someone whose values are the complete antithesis of my values. And I feel like if I attend the inauguration, somehow I am normalizing...
He's not ready to be normalized.
I can't do it.
He's not ready to be normalized. As you just said, the first move is on his part. He has not shown us or me that he's normal yet at all.
I find this topic so frustrating, though, in regard to like Jennifer Holliday, for me right now, I don't think an appearance is an endorsement. It doesn't mean I couldn't do, like, he makes me sick and I would be uncomfortable in front of him. So if they ask me, I don't think I personally could go. I don't then project on anyone that does go that they're okay with it, that they're normalizing it. I think the bullying that's happening to people that speak out is the worst part of our country right now, is showing up because okay, this is
of Trump, people that are supportive of him.
Well, first of all, okay, let me just be clear on this. The election disappointed me with conservatives, including some of my own family members, because I thought, I can't believe this is happening. But post-election, the liberals and the Democrats have let me down. We are a group of people that speaks of tolerance, unless it's intellectual. And then we are more intolerant than anyone. I am not normalizing what Trump does, but to then project on a performer that's going and backlash and bully and come out online like trolls, that is evil, regardless of which side of it happens. So to me,
feel like an endorsement?
No, it doesn't feel like an endorsement.
Let's find out from her why she decided to drop out.
I think these performers, though, they have a right to either not to go or not go, because they, beyond being a performer, they're people, and they have to, you know, I always say, do what enables you to sleep at night. And for some of them, I feel that they do for whatever reason see it as an endorsement. I'm a little disappointed just because I view the inauguration as something patriotic that's way beyond Donald Trump or Barack Obama or anyone. I see it as a coming together opportunity for Americans to say, you know what, it's a peaceful transition of power. Let's see what he does. That doesn't mean don't be critical if you don't like his appointees or you don't like his policy. I understand the need for criticism. That's what this country is based on.
It's not about his policy.
But on day one, I love that moment, and I had a lot of friends that objected to Barack Obama and did not go to that inauguration, and I said,
Barack Obama never said
about
anything misogynistic or racist.
Okay, but you know what? You know what, though? But before he got there, you had people that were saying, you know what, this guy launched his campaign in the house of Bill Ayers. This guy sat in Jeremiah Wright's church, and they judged him based on that. And I said, hold on, let him do something first, and then judge it.
Okay, so let me start.
It's not an equal. Wait a second. What you're describing is not it's not an equivalency.
Why?
It's not, because on this side.
When we come back, we'll talk about why.
Coming up, a View exclusive. Singing superstar Jennifer Holliday reveals why she dropped out of Trump's inauguration. But she's not turning down our offer to perform live on The View.
So, when last we met,
Go again.
there was a whole conversation about why Barack Obama was
different. Like it was a different.
Say your point again. And
that was what you were saying.
No, I was just saying there were a lot of people who judged him before he got into office and said this was a guy who sat in Reverend Wright's church. This is a guy who launched his political career in the home of a domestic terrorist. That's Bill Ayers. And because of that, they made assumptions about what he was going to do in office, which did not hold true.
Okay, here's the answer to that. Reverend Wright is the person who said those things, not Barack Obama. Don't wait a minute. I didn't finish my thought. So that what you are doing is guilt by association, which is different from what...
Well, I didn't...
just a minute, what Donald Trump has done. He is guilty by his mouth. Okay, Obama, you're making Obama guilty by association. And that is called McCarthyism. So it's a little bit different from political correctness or whatever it is you were referring to before.
May
you
I
see the
point
difference?
out-
I do see the difference, but I do think there are people who made a lot of judgments about him before.
Not 'cause he was black,
the
was it?
fact that he that too. That too.
Well,
and
that's
that
just
too. And
pure
also
racism.
the fact that he voted present a lot. They felt he wasn't going to be decisive about anything. There were a lot of judgments made.
Okay,
and then
but
he got into office
that's
and
not
that didn't
equivalent
hold true.
to
I'm not telling
Mexicans
you. No.
are rapists. Women should be grabbed by their genitals.
I'm not
Give
saying
me
it is.
some help here. So I can
you're doing
the
fine.
list goes on and on and on.
There are just so many.
And he's the one who said them.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that the inauguration, for me personally, is an opportunity to come together. At some point, you have to move
Him
forward.
first. That's why I keep saying, you know, he's got to, until, you know what, if he would just actually say, if he would actually just stop all the BS,
I agree.
one could actually maybe make your point. But because he keeps pouring hot oil on the issue, and just in terms of Reverend Wright, I'll tell you what I told my friend Elizabeth Hasselbeck about Reverend Wright. Perhaps Reverend Wright was angry when he got back from World War II, free in Europe, when he came back home and had to step off the side because he couldn't vote. Maybe he was angry for those reasons. But again, if we don't know our history, we don't know why people are upset.
You know, I would like you to give me one reason, and give Whoopi one reason, both of us. Give me one reason why we should give him a pass. Besides that it's the office.
My feeling is, look, I didn't vote for him. I've said it many times, but I do feel that I don't think he's going to come first. I don't think he's going to set the example. And I think we as a society are going to have to be bigger people than he is.
But you know what?
We can't because
he's the freaking president.
Yes.
It is from the fish's head. You know,
the power rests with us.
Shakespeare, Whoopi, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say this.
The fish stings from the
You
head.
know what? He is the president of the United States, and how he goes, so go we. And until he is big enough to say to Angela Merkel in private, listen, can we work together? Until he's big enough to say, you know what, John, let me think about what you're saying, because, you know, I felt the same way. Until he can be big enough, it's going to be hard for everybody else to get big.
How about he should apologize? Yeah.
I would like an apology. I think he owes an apology to women. He owes an apology to people of color. He owes an apology to John Lewis.
I agree with you.
You guys, but while we're waiting for those apologies, which probably aren't going to happen, and while we're waiting for that speech of unity, which probably isn't going to happen, I think we need to not put down the people that decide to be a part of these things, because we're bullying them by projecting.
I don't want to say we, because I want to find out why Jennifer changed her mind. So we're going to go, come right back with Jennifer Holliday. We'll be right back.
Coming up, a View exclusive. Singing superstar Jennifer Holliday reveals why she dropped out of Trump's inauguration. But she's not turning down our offer to perform live on The View.
Talking in Hot Topics about acts who are refusing to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration event. And right now we're joined by Grammy-winning, Tony-winning, fabulous woman all the way around, superstar who made headlines for dropping out of her scheduled performance. Here to tell us why, please welcome the most fabulous and amazing Jennifer Holliday. So you were going to go and perform, and what happened?
Well, first of all, I woke up, I got the call about on Wednesday night, and so we began to talk about everything about doing it. I was just trying to think if I wanted to do it. Then Friday morning, I woke up and there was like this whole thing of terrible tweets and things on my Instagram, and I was like, oh Lord, what did I do? I couldn't even think about what I do. And they were like, you're singing at the, I was like, I am? What happened? You know, because we hadn't really finalized everything yet. And I was like, oh my goodness, because I didn't know they were going to announce it and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know. And my publicist said, well, you know, people want to talk to you. I was like, oh my goodness, I've never had any, because you know, I've led a pretty reclusive life. I pretty much stay to myself. And then you're not on the radio, and then one morning you wake up and everybody hates you, and I'm like, what could I have possibly done to have this kind of things thrown at me?
Well, why did you initially consider performing at the inauguration?
Because I'm an artist and I love America. I just, you know, and it just didn't dawn on me. I have performed for 4 other presidents. You know, I started with Ronald Reagan, Daddy Bush, the Clintons, and during their 8-year time, and during the 8-year time of even the Clintons, they had people who were of different kinds. The Clintons had all kinds of friends. It really wasn't a thing back then. And so I didn't think anything of it, and I was like, oh, they want me to sing? Oh my goodness, I could see myself on the mall like Marian Anderson. I'm saying America, and I'm like trying to think about what I'm gonna wear. I just really did not, it didn't dawn on me that this was like a bad thing and we weren't doing America right now. It was like, we're not doing America right now. I was like, oh, okay. We're doing doing something totally different. It just never really dawned on me. It was just my really honest desire that my voice could be used. And not everybody loves the way I sing, but still my voice, I felt, could be used as an instrument of healing and unity. And I thought that we had instructions, you know, from the Obamas and the Clintons that it was a go-ahead. We were going to do a ceasefire for one day. And I just thought it was okay, you know. And the Bush daughter sent the Obama daughter something. And I was like, okay, so we on our way here. And then I was like, we're not on our way. Oh my God. You know, so it was, I just did not think that we were that place in America.
So you canceled your appearance at the inauguration event. You called it a lapse of judgment. So what was the lapse of judgment?
Well, the lapse of judgment was that I didn't realize that people weren't really over the election. I guess things started back up again, you know what I'm saying? You start remembering things and the fires start burning and although the Obama said move on and Oprah said move on, everybody said listen, you know, but the people have, you know, not finished with this. They want to get it, you know, all out. They want, you know, closure, you know, like a bad relationship. Okay, I want you to tell me, you know, what we're doing. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know. So I missed all of that. And one reporter asked me, he says, well, where have you been the last 20 months of the year? I said, I've been working. That's what I do. I'm a singer. I sing. And I've been out singing, and I turn on the TV every now and then to look what was going on. But every time I turn on the TV, it's some mess, it's some junk. It wasn't a lot of issus for a very long time. So I did miss it.
When you called up the Trump people and you said, and I'm telling you, I'm not going, what was the response? What was the response?
Actually, I didn't call them up. I just sent, you know, an email and just said that it had gotten out of hand, that I was even receiving death threats at this point. And I had never experienced
Which is never okay.
Which is never okay. And I was receiving death threats from black people. I had been from black people, the N-word from black people. From black people who were saying they were going to kill me, who were going to say...
How do you know those were black people?
Because I read everything. You know how you say, because at first I said, are these white people just messing with me? And I said, and I would push the button to see who was calling me, because your face is there. You can look at their thing or whatever. And I'm going, oh my God, these are black people calling me this. And they were saying, you know, I should kill myself, or, you know, someone should kill me.
Are you kidding
All
me?
over singing a song. I said, I just wanted to sing. I don't really understand. And so it did take people to point out to me, you know, why that they felt it was the wrong decision. And everybody kept saying, well, why did you choose to support the gays that made you influence it? Because the gay community, since Dreamgirls, for 35 years has been faithfully there for me. And then also the article in the Daily Beast, they threw my own words back to me. And I'm not a liar or a hypocrite. So I had to look at my words, and they were hurting and they were pain. And I probably would have done the same thing if anyone else had painted the issues to me. But everybody was just hurling insults at me and calling me all kind of names. I don't see how you see through that. You know, I was like, well, okay, they call them names, they mad. So it has, I don't know what the identifiable pain was, but the gay community through the Daily Beast was able to say, look, it's not just we want to be married. There are other things going on you're not aware of. I was like, okay, thank you, I'm gonna pull out.
Jennifer, just so you know, I mean, some of us, me being one of them, I supported you through this process. And when you wrote an open letter to the LGBT community, and one of the things you said was, I was honestly just thinking that I wanted my voice to be a healing and unifying force for hope through music to help our deeply polarized country. I appreciated that statement. That's how I viewed it. I didn't see it as you endorsing Trump. I saw it as you wanting to be an artist and bringing people together. So I want you to know that there are many people around the country who appreciated that.
Thank you.
But I think what concerned me was that you potentially changed your mind because of the backlash, because I'm so deeply concerned about people bullying. No one should have the right to make you feel bad about a decision that you make that feels right for you. Was it the backlash that changed your mind? What was it that ultimately led you to say, I have to do something different here? Was it that you felt it was wrong, or was it the bullies? What was it?
No, I felt exactly like I said. The Daily Beast letter used my words to me, things that I had said with the community. So they said to me, if your words are true, and you're not a liar all of these years, otherwise everything that you have said and you have done is a lie. And I'm not a liar, nor a hypocrite. And I haven't done anything
to make me cry.
You know, to be called names. I said I've never been called I grew up in a mixed middle-class neighborhood. I've never even in Texas, and I've never been called the N-word.
But you know what?
And I was like, wow, you know, we've come to this.
This is why this is part of the reason why I encourage people stay off your Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't read your Twitter, because the people who are tweeting you. The people who are tweeting you don't know anything about
Trump, too, right now.
Well,
when they speak that way, they're as bad as him.
But this is why I say it has to come from the top.
Yeah.
This has, as long as he's doing this, I know I'm going as fast as I can. As long as he continues to do this, this is what he's leading. He needs to stop and say, okay, I get it. Like Jennifer said, I saw what the people were saying to me. Yeah. That's what made me take another stance.
He's not gonna
This is what we need. And Mr. Trump, if you want to see Jennifer perform, you should be watching the rest of the show, because she's going to be singing right here next. We'll be right back. The inauguration's loss is our gain right now. Jennifer Holliday won a Grammy Award for her brilliant rendition of Duke Ellington's Civil Rights Era classic, which is a song we all need to hear right now. Performing come Sunday, please welcome Jennifer Holliday. First of all, thank you all for coming. Thank you for singing for us. And that piece of music is brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
And everybody, you know, have a great day and take a little time to enjoy whatever view you happen upon, and try to be kind. That's all.
God bless America!